Good evening, everybody. So, as you see our schedule, so your next week, this time, you will get your test one, right? Okay, so please come on time and do not miss test one. So, as we discussed that if you miss test one, then your final exam will cover this. One test will cover final exam. But if you miss two or more tests, then only one will be covered and other will be 0, right? Okay, but if you take all tests, then what is the advantage? Then your minimum test score will be replaced by your final if your final is greater than any of this. Okay, that is an advantage. Okay, so just in order to encourage you to take test, all test. Okay, and another thing is that this is the first announcement. I do have another announcement that quiz 1, 2 and 3 are due 26 this weekend. I sent an announcement. Everybody saw that on D12? Okay, there will not be any extension. No exception, please. Do not forget. And your test 1, 2, quiz 1, 2 and 3 will cover only until maybe so far we discussed tonight. That's it. Do not wait for inheritance. Even maybe if I can start inheritance tonight, that's fine. Next week only I have only one lecture. So hopefully I will finish inheritance by one lecture next week if I can start tonight. But if I cannot start tonight, maybe I will ask you to watch a video, my previous section video. One thing is that I asked you to watch a video for this collection and array list generics. How many of you had a chance to watch this video? You did not have a chance? Okay, I'm telling you, so I could teach that. It's not that I forgot that, okay, I could teach that, but you know that I went with some hands-on activities. So if you in future, this is a trial, okay, for if you do not watch this lecture video, then I will go through, then I will not do any hands-on activity. Which one do you like? Which one you like? To cover hands-on activity, everything, not to, because there are a lot of things. So since I have my same lecture video uploaded already and I added to your playlist. Okay, so please watch this at least one time. You can skip something. Maybe there is a how many minutes I do have for that one. So playlist, you added here. Next time you open Google Chrome, it will bring up. Okay, only about 30 people watch this from 2 sections. I have count. I just remembered the count how many views are there. So if you do not watch it, then let me know. I can cover that in a next lecture. But then I have to quiz other stuffs so that I can make up time. So anyone has any question about test? Okay, so please give attention to tonight's lecture. You will have some questions from tonight's lecture. Okay? Yes.
So are we gonna? So is Monday a review or is?
No review.
What?
Review?
Is next Monday a review or are we gonna go over new material?
We'll discuss inheritance in our next lecture. In Monday, I don't have any lecture on Monday. Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I have lecture. If you give attention to my lecture, you should have all questions that I'm discussing in my lecture. Okay, so let us start with our last program that we discussed What did we do? We declared a class named car, right? Okay, give attention please. If you understand the basic concept with any class like car class, you should understand with dog class, animal class, student class, account class, anything, customer class, concept is same, okay, but only the field will be different. So tonight I'm not allowing you to use device. So your name is Jerika or what is your name? What is your name please? I forgot. No. Yeah. How do you spell it? Ghacal. Okay, thank you. Sorry, please give attention to me. Okay, close your device. Okay, so in our last lecture we discussed how to declare a car class, right? So we declare these are the properties of my car. So if we understand with these properties, then we should understand with any number of properties or any other properties, right? So our car class, it has a string type properties, make, another string type model, and then private type integer. Okay, so and then we created getter and setter methods. Okay, so I showed you how easy it is to create getter and setter method using Eclipse, but if you do not use Eclipse, then you can write this getter method. Public string getter method, it returns a value, and then what kind of value it will return? Exactly the field type. If this field is integer type, then it will return an integer type for this one here. And the setter method is used to set a value. And we discussed that why do we use the this operator? Whenever we have our this argument name is exactly same as our field name, so then we use this operator. Otherwise, if this name is different than my year name, then we don't need to use this operator. This is optional. Getter method is used to get a return value, and setter method is used to set a value for a property, right? You can use a setter method only to set one individual value. You cannot set multiple values, or for multiple values for one object, or multiple values for multiple objects. So at this point, everybody understands what is an object, right? What is an object? Yes. Tell me from three of you, anyone? Yes. Yeah. What is an object? Yes. Anyone from three of you, okay. Huh? Okay. An object is a type of variable. Okay, and who? You? Yes. No, I did not ask you. I asked on three of you. You tell me. Yes. What is an object? Yes. An object is an instance of a class. Okay. So whenever we have a class type here, this is, in one sense, this is an instance of an integer type. So since it is a built-in or primitive data types, how many primitive data types we do have? 8, right? So if his type is a primitive data type, then there is, we say, variable. This is a type, right? And this type is not a primitive data type if it is other than the 8 types we know as a primitive data type, then that is in general an object. In plain English or in physics, an object is an entity. It's something that may be visible or invisible, okay? As a human being, I am an object. You are an object. Okay? This computer is an object. This is an object. This pen is an object. The entire world is an object. Sometimes the universe is another object. Sometimes some components are configured together, attached together to build a different object. As a human body, right? This hand is an object, fingers are object, our eyes, nose, everything individual object. These are combined to make another object. So object is an entity. Whenever in shortcut in programming concept, when you will say an object is an instance of a class. So what is my class over here? Car. Okay. Then what is a class? Maybe you can answer me. Sabi again. Yeah. What is a class? Yes. 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 A class is a user-defined type. So what type we have already built-in type? Integer type, float type, double type, boolean type. These are built-in type, right? In addition to this built-in type will not work, will not fulfill our goal. For instance, a student. Every student it have some attributes: name, social security number, date of birth, parents' name, address, gender, right? Phone number, a lot of attributes, right? So think about a system. If your database system wants to declare variable for each of you, individual variable, maybe you will need 30 variables. If there are 100 students in a lecture, in a section, how many variables we need? 100 times 30, right? 3000 variables. So it will be difficult to maintain those very large group of variables. Instead of this, we can combine those 30 variables to create only one type student. Yes, the question?
My question is with this operator, is it bad practice to just use that all the time?
No, it is a good practice. People usually, I could give a name, a different name. For instance, make m is in uppercase over here, and I could avoid this. But programmers usually do this. Okay, so programmers usually will give this dot make equal to make, and they will not give different name, and they will actually give same name. Okay, but ultimately you will be used to. But why do we use this operator? Because it assigns the value to individual operator. If we do not use this operator, what will happen? Let me do a quick activity. What is your name? Yes. Emily. What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? So I asked same questions, right? What is your name? Did I get same answer? What happened if I would get same answer? I would not believe, right? I would not believe that everybody has same answer. But every student, or maybe there are some common names, but most of you have different name, right? So that means your name goes with you, her name goes with her, his name goes with him. That is ensured by this operator. So this means this object's name will be whatever name I say. Here, let me go here. This says if say car1 dot make, that means it say this car1. What is my car1 object? C1. C1's make will be Toyota. For instance, if I have another class car, can I have so another object? Can I have two objects with same name? No, I must have different name. Okay. So if I say C1, C2, so C2 should have a make. This make may be same, or this make may be different. Maybe C2 as make may be okay. So this ensures that this object will get this value and this object will get this value. If I do not use this operator, then that will not be possible. Then everybody will have same name. Okay, when you take your test will go someone else record test score. Good question though. Okay, so sorry, I'm lost what I was discussing. So a class is a type, user defined data type. Okay, so for object oriented programming, class and objects are the heart or the main component, okay, of object oriented programming. If you do not understand what is a class, what is an object, then you will not understand the remaining stuffs. So everybody is clear what is an object? An object is an instance or an, whenever we say object, then must be type will be something other than what? 8 primitive data types, right? Not a built-in type. Our own define, maybe I define or someone has defined for us, like the string type. String type is a built-in data type but not primitive. Okay, that is defined within the system. We can enjoy, you can use it, but it's not a. Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about subclasses. So, like in the lab, we had a person class and then a subclass employee, and in the same program, I just wrote.
When that is due?
No, that was like this week's lab.
When that is due? This
Yeah.
lab. Hmm?
So.
coming Sunday that is due?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Maybe that is related to inheritance. So maybe if I cannot discuss that tonight, then we need to defer that lab. That is related to inheritance. We will discuss in our next lecture. Maybe let me quickly go ahead. Okay. So here we discuss how to create setters and getters method. Although alphabetically this getter method it comes first, but we need to use the setter method first in order to set a value. Okay, and we discussed that constructor. What is a constructor? A constructor is a method that is used to initialize the values for an object. A constructor is not called explicitly, it is called actually implicitly when we create an object. Yes?
I'm slightly confused with your car main. You have C1.make equals as opposed to set.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm coming there. That's good. Good question. I understand your question. So we can have a class, a constructor is a method that does not have any return type. Remember that you will I believe some of you will do same mistake that our previous student they did. You will lose point. So if you give any return type, for instance, if you say public void or public integer, if you say this for constructor, you will lose point. Then this is a method but not a constructor. A constructor cannot have a return type even it is void. A constructor cannot have a return statement. Okay, everybody remember that? Okay. So a constructor is used to initialize the values for what? For the field, for each of the individual object. Okay, so if a constructor does not have any arguments within its parentheses, then that is called a default constructor. Okay, and a class can contain multiple constructors. So if a class a constructor is a method, right? What kind of method? That it has exactly same name of its class name. If you say this car C is in lowercase, then our program will give me an error over here, and the problem is here C is in, I put it in lowercase, right? Should be. So don't worry, if you are used to programming, then you will not do this kind of mistake. But some people may have habit to type in everything in uppercase. That is not a good habit. If you have that habit, you have to change your habit. Okay, so if you say car like this, then this is not a constructor. A method, some other method is not a constructor. Okay, so in order to be a constructor, must be a name as same name of its class name, and it cannot have a return statement or return type. Okay, so this constructor is used to create an instance of this car class, as well as to initialize or to set up values for its properties. So let us see, and a constructor, a class can have multiple constructors. This is called, a constructor is a method. This concept is called method overloading. Okay, method overloading means a method, in method overloading, a class can have multiple methods, but they will be different in terms of their argument. Remember that, okay? Attention. In terms of their argument type or argument number of argument. So how many arguments I do have here? 0, right? And how many arguments I do have here? So I can have, this is their good, so I have 2 class, and I may have 3, instead of 3 I may have 2, arguments. So this is good. Okay, and I may have only 1 argument, that is also good. Okay, but remember that, but I cannot have an argument that is a different type. I cannot have this, because here we say that this is car class, this contains an argument with name make, right? With, say, I can say X. I cannot have it. What is the reason? Overloaded methods must be different in terms of their parameter, number of parameters, or what is that called? Number of parameters, or sorry, I'm lost. Number of parameters, or okay, types of parameter. So I cannot have this dot ER. Okay, so you can say ER Y. Okay, so these methods can have, these are this is argument is string type, right? But its argument is integer type. It's okay. Yes.
So even though the parameters are different, one's a string, one's an int, you still can't.
What is your question? Okay.
So even though the parameters are different, like, that's not enough?
No, parameters, yeah, even the parameters are, so for instance, I have one string, right? I cannot make another string, like make. I cannot have make. I cannot have this. Okay, because I have already a type argument string type, right? And I cannot have another string type. I must have, I can have different type argument, either different type or different number of. Here there are different types, right? Here 1 argument, here 2 arguments, here 3 arguments, here 0 argument. Okay, must be different in terms of number of parameters or types of parameters. Okay, one type must be different in either 2 ways. Okay, since it does not have return type, so even its return type is different, it will not work. Okay, so when these constructors are called, when we create an instance of this class. For instance, here you see that we did not use this constructor yet in our last lecture. We just used our default constructor here. Okay, so but if I want to, I use a default constructor, right? So then this object will be created with empty. This will be one skeleton will be created with no value. Okay, so that and last also we discussed, in order to display our object in a good manner, in a good presentation view, we have to override the toString method, right? toString method is a built-in method that is defined within the object class. We will discuss object class in our next lecture. But if we do not have this toString method, we saw that we will get some output weird, something like, if we run this program, we'll get our output like this way, right? We actually will get memory address, but in order to resolve this issue, what do? We override the toString method. How do we override the toString method? Like this way. Override means rewrite the toString method. And people who are taking C# lab, so C#, this is called annotation. Okay, C# does not have annotation, but in C# we use public string override keyword. In C# we use override keyword. Okay, maybe override comes here. In C# when we go convert it in C# we will discuss this. Okay, but in Java we use override annotation. Okay, and for instance here these objects are created with empty, right? So then with no value. So then how do we assign value? Either directly or using getter setters method or using a constructor. So for our here, so at this point if I want to print here this line, and at this point if I want to print this C object, then you see that this C object, car object, has make value null. Okay, then model null and year equal to 0, integer for 0, and for string type it gets null value. And later we can use, there are multiple ways to assign values. First one, give attention please, is dot operator. We use dot operator to assign this value. Dot operators means in English we say off. We can say like this way, make of C1 is Toyota. Okay, and we say for this one that assign make of C2 equal to okay. So once we assign value like this way, then if we run this program again, so then it will, in this line it will print us like this value. Make model on this. So this is one way to declare, to assign value, but this is not a good way. This is not a good method to assign value. We can do this if our field is public. Okay, if the property is public, then we can do it, because my make is defined within which class? Car class. Okay, and I am accessing my make from which class? Maybe I'm a neighbor, But should my neighbor know my social security number? No, right? Okay, so in order to ensure that some of my properties need to be kept secret to ensure privacy, we use private. This is access modifier. Okay, so if we use private, then there is a way, then we need to put getter and setter methods. Okay, the getter method is used to return value and setter method is used to set value. Okay, so then we can how do we use getter and setter methods? Say then whenever we say C2 press dot in Eclipse, you will see that if I have getter and setter methods, you see that I have some methods that are defined in object class. In our next lecture we will discuss, maybe, or whenever we discuss inheritance we will discuss this. Okay, and then we can say set, we can say set year, right? So okay, give attention please. How is this method? We say set year int year. So that means set year is method within the car class and its return type is void, and it takes an integer type argument name year for year. Okay, so whenever I call this method, I need to put year for which vehicle or which car? C2 car. Okay, so I need to put year maybe 2020. Okay, whatever year I set up. Okay, and then if I want to get whatever year I have set up for my C2 variable, just I have to put C2 dot get year. And now if I want to print C2, then just if I type in this, maybe I don't need this at this point. You see my C1, if I first cut, my second comes like this. So far everybody understands? Okay, now we will proceed from here. So you got your answer? You got your answer?
I did.
Okay,
So
thank
the reason you do that is because you made a couple of different.
Yes. So but the reason that but if we do not have we should not make everything public. Okay. So
better to use getters than setters.
yes, better. So in one of the properties of object-oriented programming is called encapsulation. Encapsulation and data hiding, these are the other properties of object-oriented programming. Encapsulation means everything of an object will be encapsulated. We know when with this kind of medication capsule, right? In a capsule, if you break a capsule, you will see that there are other like small powder, either powder or other small marble type small medicine over there, right? Okay, so when you want to buy some capsule, okay, if those are broken, the capsule are actually the medicine are encapsulated or wrapped with a rubber, right? When you take that medicine, we eat with the plastic, right? But otherwise we would not eat that plastic, right? Do we eat plastic? No. But with the medicine encapsulation, we eat the plastic, right? So but we know that if our capsule is broken or leaked, we will not buy it, we will not use it, right? So that encapsulation, like this same concept, in object everything will be encapsulated, and objects of property will be encapsulated, and those would be hidden from other outside access, and then outside access if needed. For instance, how do we use our social security number? In order to create a bank account, in order to get an admission, we give our social security card to a trusted person, right? And he or she uses our social security card, right? That is a trusted manner. So here in programming, our trusted manner is to say create getter and setter methods. Okay, so the properties, for instance, that are private, for instance here my year is private, I will not be able to set up my private variable. For instance, c2 dot year I cannot say. You see that I do not have year directly, but c2 dot I have maybe model, I have make. You see that make and model, these are not private, so it came directly open, right? So now everybody understand what is the okay, there are 4 access modifiers. This is an interview questions. Private, you understand private, right? We make it private so that we can hide it from outside access. And how do we access private members? Using getters and setters. Okay. Some classes do not have getter and setter method. For instance, the string class does not have a setter method. We will discuss that later. And if it is, there are 4 access modifiers: private, public. If it is public, then it can be accessed always. It can be accessed directly. It can be accessed using getter and setter method. Anywhere, from anywhere, it can be accessed. Okay. And there is another call is protected. For now, let us skip this. We will discuss protected later. And there is another one that is called default. So default is not a keyword. Default is not a keyword. So if we do not use private, public or protected, then it is default. So for instance, my model is here default. Default is not a keyword. Okay, so for you do not need to write default. You do not need to write default. Okay, default is, if you do not write anything, then it is default. If it is default, then it is accessible within the package. So here is my package. How many of you know how to use Eclipse? 1, 2. Okay, that's good. Karen, you don't know? Okay, I encourage everybody to be used to in using Eclipse if you work on Java, and used to with what is that called, Visual Studio if you work C#. But sometimes you will see that I quickly program with Replit, right? No company will allow you to work with Replit or JGraphs. So you have ultimate goal to do an IT job, right? To be a programmer or software engineer or something. So become used to. I have some videos on my YouTube channel how to install Eclipse and set up configure. You can watch those. Be used to, please. Another thing, that how many of you do not have account GitHub account? Some of you have a GitHub account? GitHub? So yeah, please be used to using GitHub. Then you will be one step ahead. No company will use your flash drive to share your program code. No company will use, okay? Even if I take a higher level course, I will not allow you to do any project without a GitHub. So you can secure like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or a OneDrive you have, right? Okay, everybody understand here up to so far? Okay, so here one thing that we need to discuss. Okay, maybe I am going through these slides. Okay, I'm going through these slides. So object oriented programming, these slides. I know everything. Okay, so whatever most of the slides I developed, so updated. So I like, instead of going page by page, slide by slide, I like to go actual live program. So if you please go to these slides and read the stuffs that are discussed, you see that something discussed. Even in my lecture I'm discussing everything. Okay, you can go through these slides, but I can go both way. I can discuss page by page, slide by slide, or I can discuss that live program I am discussing. Which one you like?
Slide by slide.
Slide by slide? Okay, the next.
I don't mind the live program since we
You,
can access the slides.
you don't like?
Live program is good.
Okay, next time I can, maybe I will vote. I will vote for which one you like. I can go slide, I can go live program, okay? So let us go for next part from the slide. So static keyword, an important property of object-oriented programming. Okay, everybody please give attention for the next 15 minutes. Okay, static keyword. Okay, so let me do another quick activity. Karen, what is your, I will not ask your name, okay? So what is your, no. Okay, what is your major? Intended major? Huh?
Video game design?
Okay, video game design. What is your major?
Game design.
Game design. What is your major?
Computer science.
Okay, what is your major? Intended major.
I don't know which one.
Sabia, what is your intended major?
Software engineering.
Software engineering. Okay, let us think that everybody has here intended software engineering and game design major, or computer science, a common major. Okay, everybody here has only one common major here. Maybe, or I can say, what is your ultimately CCSE, right? Your major here, or engineering, right? So it is not good for me that I will ask everybody what is your major, what is your major, what is your major, but if we get same result, same output, right? If we have same answer, so I should not ask everybody same question. That means I should not declare a variable that will go ask everybody to give their department, right? So in order to solve that issue, for instance, we declare a static member. What we can do, we declare a static member in order to ensure that an attribute will be common for all members or all objects of that class. Okay, so for instance, let us go to our program. For instance, this one. So if so for all car, is there any common attribute?
Number of wheels.
Okay. Then number of wheels int. Okay. Then number of wheels. Okay, maybe. Okay. Okay, number of wheels. If I say attribute this, no, it's not a good, because there maybe some car may have 6 wheels, may have 4 wheels. Like I need a common. For instance, let me make. I can do this. Make me string. Okay. Okay, type. So all are private. So maybe private vehicle. Okay, private car. Okay. So let us consider that I am declaring a class for a private car, not a commercial car, commercial vehicle. Okay. So all of you will have. Then if I say only string type, then I will have this type declared for all vehicle. Vehicle 1. So if I say vehicle 1 C1, then I will say C1 dot type equal to private. Okay, and then C2 dot type equal to private. But if I have same answer, I should not use this way, right? I have 1000 vehicles and every time I'm inputting private. It's not a good way, right? So instead of doing this, then I can, if I make this string, this property as a static string private, then what will be happen, then I can assign a common value for all car object. So in this case I do not need to make c1.type as a private, because I already have whatever object I am creating, I am getting that object's value, object type equal to private. Okay, this way, so this way if I say I can do this way. So if I say type equal to private, it assigns, so for all object we will have a common type private. Okay, so then let me print this, then okay, what is my maybe plus, okay, here type okay, I'm adding a type over here. So if I run this program, I'm getting private for C1 and private for C2, right? So I don't need to declare, you see that I do not have this type. So all vehicles I have common type private, right? So since it is common, then one thing is that remember that when we declare a member as a static, that becomes a property of the entire class, not an individual object. That is will be common. Okay, now let me make another there is another use of static member. If I say, for instance, I want to count how many car object I have created. Okay, how many car objects I have created. So far how many car objects I have created? 2, right? Okay, so if I say I want to count how many car objects I am creating. Okay, so if I say int count, int car count initially will be 0, right? Okay, so here say once I create a car object, I will say I will increase my car count by 1, right? So I will increase car count plus plus. In this case there is no difference with prefix and postfix notation, and here also anyway I can create a car instance, I have to update by car instance, right? So what is my initial value? 0. Okay, so look at that, I still did not use static here, right? Okay, so now if I want to print like this, number of car object created number of car created plus car count, right? Okay, I cannot use this way because my car here is non-static. Okay, so here what I need to do, so non-static member cannot be accessed directly, any member cannot be accessed directly, so we need to, can we use this one, either c1 dot car count, right? So how many car I have created? 2, right? And if I say, even if I say c2 dot car count, so let me say run this program. Every time I will get car created 1. The reason is that, anybody guys? So anytime I am calling this class, I am initializing car count by 0, right? But what I was expecting that first time I create car 1, then my car count should be 1, right? Second time I create another car, my car count should be 2, right? Third time I create another car, my car should be 3. So how do I ensure that? I need to make this one as static. So if I say static int car count, so then it is showing me a little bit so that warning message, but it's good for now. Okay, so I will fix this later. But if I say how many car counts I have created, you see every time it is showing me 2, right? Okay, even for car C1, I say when I say C1 dot car count, then it is showing 2, and then when I say C2 dot car count, then it is showing me 2, right? Still problem. Actually, I don't need to show this way. I need to show how many car object created is actually car count, not this way. Actually, car dot this way, not this way. So now if I run this program, how many car object created? 2. Let me create some other fake car instance. Sorry. Okay, 3, 4, okay, 5, these are 4. So how many car object I have created? 5. So if I run this program, I got 5 car object created, right? That is ensured by my static modifier. Okay, so if I give a static seal, okay, then it will be a property of entire class, not for an individual object. Okay, for instance, I want to count, for instance, if I want any other constructor, because whatever, when I am using this constructor, it is counting, incrementing the counter, right? And even if I use this car constructor, it will increment. Let me create another object, for instance, like car C5 equal to new, okay, make BMW, and then we need model, right? What is the model? Say maybe CRB model, or I don't know, so maybe 2019. So even if I give 7, this is another different name. So how many objects I have created? 6, right? This should be 6 maybe. Okay, don't be confused. This one is 4 and this one is 5. So far I have created 6, right? So what do we have understood so far? Whenever a property we make static, that become the global property of the class. Okay, not an individual property of an object. Okay, so then when it becomes a global, okay, then we have a different way. For instance, when he used this way, okay, you see that I can use this way, but it is showing me a, do you see that it is showing me a yellow underline? So if I take this way, then what is the warning message showing? It is showing that the static field car dot car count should be accessed in a static way. What is static way?
Using
Yes, using the static way is the using of class name instead of object name. Why is the reason? Because we just told you that a static property is a global property, global asset. Okay, static property is a global asset. Okay, for the entire class. Okay, not a limited property for an individual object. You know, in some countries, every countries, there are some people, some people, they are globally known, right? Globally known, maybe global asset. For instance, if I say Barack Obama, maybe there are maybe 100 people name in the USA, 1,000 same name Barack Obama, right? But people may understand that the former US President Barack Obama, right? He's a well-known person, maybe even in the USA and worldwide. If you go to Africa or in Bangladesh and ask a little baby who is Barack Obama, maybe many of them will know. He was the former US President. If you say Donald Trump, everybody will know that our honorable president, right?
Yeah.
So these people, these are our global asset or globally known, right? Okay, so these global people will be. I'm not done. Please give attention for how many minutes I do. I need 5 more minutes. These people are actually global assets, so we need to call them globally. What is the global call over here? By their class name. Okay, so that means if I say okay, car count of car, that means the car count property of car class. Okay, this car is not an object over here, it is a class name, right? Okay, although this, we know that this is a OA, but this is, although it is not giving me, and so let me run it, this program. I will see that if I say c1.count, it will show me c1.count, and if I say c2.count, c3.count, then it will be all 6, because actually it is globally incremented. Okay, so this is not a good way, so this is an invalid statement. Since my car is a static member, okay, it is an invalid, this will be an invalid statement. I will consider this an invalid statement because it will not get my expected result. Okay, now so far we have known that we should access a static member in a static way, right? What is a static way? By class name. Okay, there is some other properties. There is a good interview question. Okay, sometimes people ask that, can a, okay, let me show you. So here my static member int and string. Okay, car count is static, right? I'm calling it from main method, that is also static, right? Okay, so the rule of thumb is that a static member can be accessed only by another static member. How do I say this? Give attention, please. In order to be a friend of a president of a country, okay, if I want to be a friend of a president of any country, maybe I need to be of that level, a person of that level, right? Either be a president of another country or at least that level, right? So I said that in order to be a friend of a president of a country, we need to be at that level. Or there is a tradition that if you have a PhD degree, then only another person who have PhD degree can call you by your first name. Convention, my first name is Mokhtar. So professor who have PhD degree, they can call me Mokhtar. Hey Mokhtar. But other people should call me Dr. Hussain, who no matter how senior is this person, in terms of age. This is the tradition, okay, like it's statics tradition, like, okay. So a PhD person can call another PhD person by their first name. Otherwise, like you say, Dr. Hussain, other people should. If any professor that does not have a PhD degree should not call me by my first name. But you will not be penalized, you will not be jailed. So far we understand what we understand. A static method can be called only by another static method. It cannot be called another. Let me show you quickly another so if I say public string, I can say display. Okay, so can I say car count equal to okay, can I say sys out, I'm sorry, okay, that is showing me, okay, which is within class, but if I have here, okay, I got it. Okay, so this method is another class. So this method is non-static. So it cannot call a static member. But if it is within class, then it can call. So for instance, here it can call within class, it can call. Okay, so in order to call a static member, if that rule of thumb is that a non-static member cannot call a static member. Okay, and if it is a static, if a class, you declare a class static, then you do not need to create an object of that class, that method, to call it. Give me 1 second, please. If I say my public is here, public display, public static, okay, public void maybe, okay, public void display, okay. So then, okay, so here you cannot call display like this way. You cannot call display like this way. But if it is static, then you can call car dot display, okay, or if it is outside class, then you can call car dot display by using class name. But if it is within class, for instance, if it is within class here, this is the last thing I want to discuss. So how can I access this car dot, right? So you see that this method, display method, is a static method, right? It is a static method. So in order to call this static method, I do not need to call this. I can directly call this display method. You see this? So if it is within class, so this display method is within class, right? So then we do not need to create an object. We do not need to call by class name. Directly we can call. Okay, but if it is not a static method, then we cannot directly call it. So everybody understand? Okay, so please practice this program. Okay, I will post this program on my Replit, and you please convert this program in your language, in Java, in C#. Okay, if you find any issue, then let me know, or I may post it in so Java, let's say car class example 1 Java.